A girl and so-called friend framed me as a creep as a prank, stayed silent when the school suspended me, and my parents kicked me out of the house, believing the false accusations. Now, 15 years later, they contacted me, begging to reconcile and help them. Then again, they tried to threaten me with the same false accusations, so I ruined all their lives. I was 17 when my life completely fell apart. I'll try to keep this as coherent as possible, because even now, 15 years later, it's hard to think about without getting angry or breaking down. But with everything that's happening now, I need some perspective, and maybe sharing this will help me figure out what the hell to do. Back then, I was just a regular high school kid. I wasn't super popular, but I wasn't a total outcast either. I had a tight group of 6 friends, and we'd known each other since middle school. At least, I thought they were my friends. I was also working my arse off to maintain a 4.0 GPA, because I had my eyes set on a full scholarship for college. My family wasn't rich, so that scholarship was everything. Then one day, I got a note in my locker. It was handwritten, and said it was from Emily, a girl in my grade. The note asked me to meet her after school in one of the empty classrooms, because she had something important to tell me. Emily was quiet, shy, and not someone I interacted with much, so I was surprised. But I figured maybe she needed help with something. People often came to me for homework or tutoring. I didn't think much of it and showed up. When I walked into that classroom, Emily was already there. She looked uncomfortable. Her arms were crossed, her head down, and she wouldn't really meet my eyes. Before I could even ask what was going on, the door burst open, and my friends came storming in. They were yelling and pointing at me like I'd been caught doing something awful. "What the hell are you doing, man?" one of them shouted. Another said, "I knew you were a creep." I was completely blindsided. I kept asking, "What are you talking about?" But they weren't listening. Instead, they were accusing me of cornering Emily, of harassing her. Emily didn't say anything. She just stood there, staring at the ground, looking like she wanted to disappear. The commotion attracted a teacher, and things escalated fast. They dragged me to the principal's office, all 6 of them talking over each other about how I'd been following Emily around for weeks, making creepy comments, and now I'd finally gone too far by trapping her in that room. Emily sat there the whole time, not saying much, but nodding every now and then when someone asked her a direct question. She didn't have to say anything more. Her silence and her body language were enough to make everyone believe them. I tried to explain that the note was a setup, that I'd never done anything like what they were saying. But no one cared. The principal told me I was suspended immediately while they investigated. The rumor mill at school went into overdrive. By the next day, the story had morphed into me stalking Emily, harassing her, and even touching her inappropriately. People were saying I'd been caught in the act, which wasn't even remotely true, but by then, the truth didn't matter. Things got worse when my parents got involved. The school called them in for a meeting with Emily's parents. I don't even know where to start with how bad that went. My parents didn't even wait to hear my side of the story. As soon as we got into the principal's office, my dad went off. "What the hell were you thinking?" he yelled in front of everyone. "Do you know what you've done to this family?" My mom was crying, and when I tried to tell them I didn't do anything, she snapped. "How can you lie at a time like this?" Emily's dad was furious too, calling me a predator and saying I was lucky he wasn't pressing charges. The principal just sat there, looking disappointed, and kept saying how serious this was. Emily barely said a word. She just sat there with her head down, nodding every now and then when someone asked if I'd been bothering her. Her silence was all anyone needed to believe I was guilty. After the meeting, my dad told me I wasn't coming back home. He said I was a disgrace to the family, that I'd ruined any chance of making something of myself. My mom didn't even look at me. They packed a bag for me and left it by the door. Just like that, I was out. I was completely alone. I tried reaching out to my friends, but they either ignored me or doubled down on their lies. The scholarship I was working so hard for, gone. My teachers, my classmates, even the neighbors, everyone believed the rumors. I couldn't walk down the street without people whispering. Some of them even crossed the road when they saw me, like I was dangerous. Emily never admitted it was all a setup. I don't know if it was fear or guilt or both, but her silence let the accusations stick. The last time I saw her, she wouldn't even look at me. I spent the next few years scraping by, working dead-end jobs, and trying to keep a roof over my head. Eventually, I became a truck driver because it was the only thing that let me stay away from people. Even now, 15 years later, I'm still dealing with the fallout. I'm single because I don't trust anyone, and I'm on meds for anxiety and PTSD. I've done my best to rebuild my life, but the scars are always there. About a month ago, I got a friend request on Facebook from a name I hadn't seen in 15 years. Alex, one of the ringleaders of the group that framed me. My first instinct was to block him, but curiosity got the better of me. I clicked on his profile, and as soon as I did, I saw that he wasn't the only one. 5 more friend requests followed over the next week, all from the same people who had destroyed my life. I didn't accept any of them, but I didn't block them either. I wanted to see what they were up to, and honestly, I think I wanted to know why the hell they were trying to contact me now. Then came the messages. First, Alex sent me a DM, starting with, "Hey, man, I know this is out of the blue, but can we talk? I need to tell you something important." I ignored it. Then Brian, another one of them, messaged me saying, "I've been feeling really guilty about what happened in high school. We owe you an apology. Please let me explain." The floodgates opened after that. They created a group chat and added me to it. The group was called Making Amends, which honestly made me want to throw my phone out the window. They started posting long-winded messages about how they were young and stupid, and how they never meant for things to go so far. One of them even said, "We didn't know it would ruin your life." As if that made it any better. Then, the real gut punch, my parents reached out. First, my dad sent an email, his first contact with me in over a decade, saying they'd been in touch with Alex and the others and had learned the truth. He wrote, "We didn't know, son. If we had known, things would have been different." My mom followed up with a voicemail, crying and saying how sorry she was and begging me to call her back. I didn't. I couldn't. The kicker? Emily messaged me too. Just one line. "I'm so sorry for what I did to you. I want to make things right." I stared at that message for hours, not knowing how to respond or if I even wanted to. I don't know for sure how they tracked me down. My Facebook profile is pretty locked down, but I guess it's not impossible to connect the dots. Maybe they saw me tagged in an old photo from a family member or searched for my name until they found me. The fact that my parents are involved makes me think they might have reached out to my family first, and somehow that led them to me. However they found me, they've been relentless. The group chat is still active, and my inbox is full of messages from people I hoped I'd never hear from again. Part of me wants to confront them, demand to know why they're reaching out now after all these years. Another part of me wants to block them all and keep living my life as far away from them as possible. Update. I wasn't planning on posting an update, but things have escalated far beyond what I expected. I've been reading through your comments and messages, and I can't thank you enough for your support. Sharing my story was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but hearing from people who understand even strangers has been more comforting than I ever thought possible. Unfortunately, my situation with Emily and the others has only gotten worse since I first posted. When they first reached out, the messages were all about making amends. They apologized, said they were young and stupid, and claimed they never meant for things to go so far. It was infuriating to read. They didn't seem to understand or care that their so-called prank destroyed my entire life. I ignored their apologies, but they kept messaging. That's when their tone shifted, and they started talking about Emily. From what they told me, the entire reason they reached out had nothing to do with genuine remorse. Emily's husband had recently learned about the high school incident, but not the full story. Apparently, one of Emily's friends let something slip during an argument or a casual conversation, and it blew up in her face. Her husband was furious. From what they said, he threatened to leave her unless she could prove her innocence. Emily tried to smooth things over, claiming it was all a misunderstanding from their teenage years, but she could tell he didn't believe her. The others admitted that Emily was panicking because her husband has started looking into the incident himself. She thinks he's trying to find out the truth behind her lies, and it's scaring the hell out of her. Instead of facing the consequences of her actions, Emily decided to do what she's always done: make it someone else's problem. She and her friends tracked me down, hoping to shut me up before her husband could dig too deep. At first, they tried guilt and manipulation. They kept saying things like, "You don't understand how much she has to lose," and "We were just kids back then. It's not fair to ruin lives over this now." They acted like we were all equally responsible for what happened, like it wasn't their lies that destroyed me in the first place. When that didn't work, they started with the threats. They told me that if I didn't cooperate, they'd have no choice but to report me for harassing Emily. They warned me that they could easily make people believe I was some kind of stalker, and that it wouldn't take much to ruin me again. One of them even brought up my job, saying employers don't like being associated with people who cause trouble. The fact that they knew where I worked made my blood run cold. I realized they'd done some serious digging to track me down, not just online, but through my parents and possibly other connections. Throughout all of this, Emily hasn't contacted me directly, but it's clear she's orchestrating everything. Her silence says it all. She's hiding behind her friends because she knows she can't spin this herself. It's pathetic, really. She spent 15 years pretending to be the victim, building her perfect life on a foundation of lies. And now that it's all falling apart, she's doing whatever it takes to protect herself, even if it means trying to destroy me again. I'll admit, this whole situation has dredged up a lot of old emotions. For years, I told myself I was over it, but reading their messages has brought all the pain and anger back. At the same time, I'm not the same person I was back then. I'm not powerless anymore, and I refuse to let them control my life again. To everyone who's been following my story, thank you. Your comments and support have reminded me that I'm not alone in this, and that I have every right to stand up for myself. I'll post another update when I've decided what to do next. For now, I'm focusing on protecting myself and keeping my head clear. Update. When the threats started coming, I felt like I was 17 again. The messages went from fake apologies to veiled threats, and now they weren't even trying to hide it. They accused me of harassing Emily by ignoring their attempts to reconcile, twisting everything to make it seem like I was the one escalating. One of the messages hit me like a punch to the gut. If you don't stop this, we'll have no choice but to report you for harassing Emily again. You wouldn't want your employer to hear about this, would you? That was the moment I lost it. They had already ruined my life once. I'd spent years clawing my way out of the pit they threw me into, and now they were threatening to do it again. I wasn't going to let them. Not this time. I didn't respond to the group chat. Instead, I spent the rest of the night screenshotting every single message they'd sent me, every apology, every manipulation, every threat. I made sure to save copies of everything, even the earliest messages where they were pretending to be remorseful. The next day, I went straight to my boss. I work as a truck driver for a small but reputable company, and I've always kept my head down and done my job. I was terrified they'd take the group's lies seriously, but I knew I couldn't risk them finding out from someone else. When I sat down with my boss, I laid everything out. I told him about the past incident in high school, how I was framed, and how these people had found me and were now trying to sabotage me again. I showed him the screenshots as proof. To my relief, my boss believed me. He's the kind of guy who values honesty, and I think he could see how shaken I was. He told me he trusted me and offered to help. I asked for a transfer, explaining that I wanted to put some distance between myself and these people in case they tried to escalate things further. He agreed without hesitation, saying, "We'll take care of it. You focus on keeping yourself safe." But I wasn't done. If they thought they could bully me into silence, they were dead wrong. I decided it was time to fight back. I hired a private investigator. It cost more money than I'd normally spend, but I didn't care. I wanted everything: social media profiles, public records, family connections. If they wanted to play dirty, I could too. The PI worked fast. Within a week, I had a comprehensive list of their personal connections. Emily's husband, her parents, and even the spouses and families of the others. Armed with this information, I put my plan into motion. I compiled all the screenshots into a single document and sent it to everyone who mattered. Emily's husband was the first on the list. I included a detailed account of what happened back in high school, how Emily had framed me, and how she and her friends were now trying to threaten me into silence to protect her reputation. I didn't stop there. I sent the same document to Emily's parents, her in-laws, and the spouses or close relatives of the others. If they had wives, husbands, or even adult kids, they got a copy. I made sure to frame it carefully. I wasn't asking for revenge. I just wanted them to know exactly who they were dealing with. The message was simple. This is who they are. This is what they've done. And this is what they're trying to do again. It didn't take long for the fallout to begin. The group chat went completely silent. No more threats, no more fake apologies, nothing. I'm guessing they were too busy dealing with the fallout from their families and partners to bother with me anymore. From what little I've read on their Insta comments section, Emily's husband was furious. Apparently, he had no idea how deep the lies went, and my screenshots made it impossible for her to spin the story any further. Her friends didn't fare much better. Some of their spouses or family members were horrified when they saw the messages, especially the threats. After sending everything to Emily's husband and the others, I changed everything again. I deleted my social media accounts, changed my phone number, and moved to a new location through the transfer my boss helped arrange. I made sure no trace of me remained online, not even an old email address. Before I closed that chapter of my life, I sent one final letter to my parents. I poured everything into it, every ounce of anger, hurt, and betrayal I've carried for the last 15 years. I told them they failed me when I needed them most. That they weren't just bad parents, they were the worst people I've ever known. I told them they could cry and beg all they wanted, but it wouldn't erase the fact that they abandoned me when I was at my lowest, when I had no one else in the world. I made it clear I blamed them just as much as Emily and her friends for the life I've had to live. I ended the letter by saying I hoped they had a miserable life, the same way they'd left me to live mine. Then I blocked them too. I don't know what's going on with Emily or the others now. Maybe they're too busy trying to salvage their lives to come after me again. Maybe they'll stay silent for good. Whatever happens, I'm done letting them control my life. Update. Hey, everyone. I'm writing this update from a new account because, as I mentioned before, I deleted all my socials after everything went down. My old account is probably floating around in limbo somewhere. But I figured I owed an update for the few people who might still be wondering how things turned out. So, here it is. I'm doing great, better than I thought I'd be, honestly. After I changed my location, phone number, and pretty much disappeared from their lives, I finally started to feel some peace. No more threats, no more manipulations, no more people trying to control my life. Just silence. And it was everything I needed. I've been working on myself, little by little. I'm still single, but I've started putting myself out there again. It's terrifying after everything, but I'm trying. No therapy yet, I can't afford it right now, but I've been focusing on building a life I'm proud of. I'll admit, curiosity got the better of me. I've been keeping an eye on their socials, here and there, just enough to see how things turned out for them. And, well, karma worked its magic. Emily. Her life completely fell apart. She's divorced, disowned by her family, and financially ruined. From what I've pieced together, her husband kicked her out after I sent him everything. She tried to spin it for a while, but I think the weight of the truth and the screenshots was too much for her to escape. Her social media is a train wreck now. Vague posts about being misunderstood and begging for support from people who clearly don't care anymore. The others. 3 of the friends ended up divorced too. From what I've seen, their ex-spouses found out about the threats and lies they'd been involved in, and it shattered their families. One of them has kids who openly post about hating their dad. I can't lie, it felt good seeing that. 3 of them aren't active on social media, so I don't know exactly what happened. But from what I've gathered, they lost their jobs. I guess when you spend your life being a manipulative arsehole, it catches up to you eventually. One of the biggest surprises was Emily's husband. After everything happened, he actually tracked me down. I wasn't sure how I felt about it at first. Having someone that wealthy and connected find you isn't exactly comforting. But when we met, he wasn't angry or accusatory. He was sincere. He apologized for Emily and for everything that happened. He admitted he didn't know the full extent of what she and her friends did until I sent him the proof. We ended up having a drink together, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was being judged or questioned. It was just 2 people acknowledging how messed up the situation was. I wouldn't call us friends, but I respect him for owning up to everything and trying to do the right thing once he knew the truth. I haven't spoken to my parents since the letter I sent them. I meant every word I wrote, and I don't regret it. I don't care if they feel guilty or remorseful. It doesn't erase what they did to me. They had their chance to stand by me, and they chose not to. I'm not interested in giving them a second one. If you're wondering how I feel now, the answer is simple. I'm happy. For the first time in over 16 years, I feel like I'm in control of my own life. I don't wake up every day thinking about the past or dreading what might happen next. There's still a long way to go. I'm not magically healed or anything, and I know therapy would probably help. But for now, I'm just taking it one day at a time. I have a steady job, my own place, and a sense of peace I haven't felt in years. That's enough for me right now. To anyone who's still following this, thanks for caring. Sharing my story was scary as hell, but it helped me more than I expected. And if you're going through something similar, just know that you can take your life back too. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Take care, everyone.